Most therapists, or quite a few, need therapists themselves.
I wish they could just be more specific about what kind they are. They could be like, "Oh, I'm an egg-on therapist. Like, you come in and we'll talk together.
You want to talk some come to my session."
That might be more valuable though.
You need a hype man? I'll be your hype man.
Welcome to an episode of Care for Boys that you may or may not agree with.
I agree.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can?
What?
Never mind. We're going to talk about when is therapy not the answer.
As an unlicensed clinical psychologist with a bachelor's in social psychology.
And gynecologist.
Yeah, you are. He's like, double major, yes.
More of a hobby than anything.
I am an unlicensed clinical psychologist though. I got a bachelor's in psychology. Oh. Yeah.
But what about gynecology?
Yeah.
I didn't study that.
Don't you have to have like a...
I'm more of an enthusiast when it comes to gynecology. I'm not a practiced professional.
Street gynecology.
No.
He dabbles.
I dabble. Gynecologist. Street gynecologist. I'm more of like a holistic gynecologist more than a... Yeah.
Okay.
A spiritual guy.
But okay, here's one of the most interesting things that in one of my classes I had a professor that said, okay, so when he got his bachelor's in psychology, he was just like, you know what? I feel like I don't know enough, right? So he goes, maybe I should get a master's. So he got a master's, and then he goes, psychology is so complex. I think I need to get a PhD to really, really know it and like specialize in something. So he did that. And then after that, he was like, I think I have to create a clinic and I have to actually practice psychology while I have to research it. And then he did that. And after he did all of that shit, he was like, I still have no idea how to figure this out. And then he goes, the funny thing is, in the time that psychology, became a whole thing, he goes, there's also quantum physics and all these newer, disciplines that actually have progressed society in a major way. And he goes, and that's not to say that there's no credit to psychology, but he's like saying like, that's how complex the human mind is. And he goes, so he was telling us, if you guys want to go into this field, just know you might not be making strides in this field. And I was like cracking up like, fuck, dude, that's hilarious. He doesn't even know.
Yeah, it's nice to have a sense of that.
But that's how you know he knows a lot, because the more you start to figure things out, you start to realize, oh shit.
Yeah, the more you can admit you don't know, yeah.
So to me, that tells me that he actually does know a little bit more than most people. If he realizes like the
there's no
scope of
answer.
things.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
But I think right now, right, like mental health and like everyone talking about like going to therapy and counseling and all this stuff, it's so much more open than it was in like 2009 when I graduated.
It's like, it feels like there's big therapy. It feels like therapy's being pushed like milk was in the 90s.
And everybody on Instagram like just seems to act like they're like an expert on like mental health and these are like 10 signs that blah 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 blah, and I'm like, dude, but how do you?
It's listicle content.
Like it's not bad, but I think when people start to make you feel bad that you're not going, then I think it's bad.
Yeah. But what I see is like when people post these things online, it's just to validate other people's feelings. So they go and they like these posts because that's exactly what I'm feeling. So they just boom boom boom.
It's like an astrology reading.
Yeah. But then they don't like actually put in any work in themselves. They just look for that quick validation and they go, all right, I'm good.
Well, it's dangerous because there's bad therapists out there too.
I think that's the key. Is okay. It's cool that everyone's talking about it now, and it's different from like people just putting it under the rug. And now people want to develop themselves, have a better idea of who they are, how to manage their emotions, how to think, which all comes from psychology, which is awesome. But when there's this blanket idea of you need to go see a therapist, why? What if that person's a quack? How do you filter the therapist, right? It's not standardized like the way that medicine is. there's different, even within therapy, there's different schools of thought. And there's different styles of therapy.
Dude, if
And
someone
talk therapy may not be the remedy.
it might not.
for-
Right.
Some people like cognitive behavioral style. I think the now evolved version is called, it's an acronym called ACT. It's like action commitment therapy or some shit like that, where people want an action plan. They want to talk it out, and then they're like, these are the steps to recondition your mind. You're gonna commit to that, and then that is more practical versus some people, you know, to me, it's a kind of a quackery style of therapy, but it's called hypnotherapy. And yeah, and to me, there's a lot of questionable styles of therapy that shouldn't even have gone through academia. But this is an old style. Like I'm talking about late 1800s, when before they had advances in science. Like they'll hypnotize you, and then they'll try to get you to think about your past life, and then you fucking dream about this past life that you had as an Egyptian god or whatever the fuck.
What the
and you
fuck?
go, oh, when I was a fucking pharaoh, I was abused. And then you come back to reality. Yeah.
And the king is.
And then you come back and you're like, when I was a pharaoh, and the funniest thing
And then I'm over there going, I abused the pharaoh.
it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
But that's the danger side of psychology, right? Because if you could be doing something more basic like behavioral therapy, like trying to expose yourself to something with repetition and change the way that you feel about it or think about it, which is more safer than fucking being hypnotized by some quack that has been proven that they can insert ideas of things that never happened. Because there's cases of people coming out and saying, oh, I was abused as a child. And then they'll sue their parents and all this stuff.
They create a whole belief system now.
But that was all implanted by the therapist.
Whoa.
Because there
Pharaoh
are people
days.
with it's like
they find your vulnerabilities and then they latch onto that to create a new narrative, to create a new belief system.
and then you can implant ideas to people because it's been proven that people with lower IQ
are susceptible to believing in it.
like in interrogation, they'll start saying that they committed crimes.
Yeah, right.
Because and it's like things like that happen, right? So I think psychology and therapy has such a bad rap because
thinking about the pharaoh.
it's like different martial arts where it's like you got jujitsu. It's like all martial arts, right? But there's so many ways to get there that some people will put these fake ass martial art magic guys right along legit jujitsu guys. And then they just see it as like the same thing.
Dude, that's crazy. Because also, like, how does the therapist know how to treat a person when one, psychology is so complex already? But if you're using the same tactics for every patient, isn't that kind of stupid? Because then every person's different. Like, how do you know how to adjust to a person?
Yeah, there's anecdotal experiences that you have to adjust.
Yeah, like you can't just like label everything as, oh, you do this because of this trauma. Like it's maybe for that person, but how do you know if it's for every person?
I just find it so funny that like, if someone told you you need a taco, the odds that the closest taco to you won't like it is so high. But then people really think the first therapist they find is the answer. Is crazy to me.
I think that's what's crazy. Is like you fucking and this person is going to listen to your deepest, darkest fucking secrets and all that. And how do you know that they're fit to actually help you guide? They might be a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I want them like, what's your life resume? Let me see what you've done.
It seems like the people with the biggest problems are the easiest to like kind of manipulate too. Like
Because
if
they don't
someone-
do any of the vetting.
Yeah, like we were
they're
saying,
already
yeah.
having so many issues of their own mental issues and things that they're trying to overcome, that even the thought of vetting somebody else and their life is just so obscene.
Yeah, the scammer in me drools at the fact that like a narcissist guy comes into my office and I'm like, all I have to do is keep fucking telling this guy that he's the best and everyone else is wrong.
Yep.
It's like he'll come to me for the rest of his life.
Right. And then they charge $300, $500 an hour.
Yeah.
What up, guys? Thank you for watching us for so long. If you like what we do, please support our Patreon. Joe, tell them what we have to offer.
So every week you get 2 videos. One never released director's cut, and another one 2 half for YouTube, Patreon only. Every freaking week you get that, and you get access to our Discord where you can come chat with us.
And ask us questions that become episodes here because we're gonna answer them and we're gonna take it seriously and we wanna give you the responses that you want. So come stay connected with us, join our Patreon, click the description below for full details.
I think that's a red flag too when a therapist is always like, all right, see you next week. It's like, then you're not really helping them.
Which package would you like? The 6-year one?
Like, isn't therapy supposed to...
And the more you come, the better it will help.
Yeah, that's the weakest.
And I'm only speaking from like people in my life that I've grown up with, that I've watched them totally go into a black fucking hole.
Yeah, that's like going to the doctor every week for like some ailment that you have that you probably don't have.
Well, it ends up becoming a weird point of bragging. Like they'll tell me like, oh, I'm going to this therapist now. Oh, and now I have 2.
Like, 2? Yeah, you got that many problems?
Yeah, and it's like they're flexing it to me that as if like, how many do you have? Oh, you don't go? And I was like, bro, what the heck?
Because I feel like there's like, just like everything else, I feel like it's a tool, right? Like let's say you get a personal trainer, it's a tool. They show you the workout. You still have work you gotta do. You gotta diet the rest of the day or whatever. And like kind of like what Kwan said, even when you get to see a different perspective or like things are put in a different way, most of the work happens in your own life. So if your therapist is for real, if they are able to like shift your brain, now when shit actually hits the fan in your life, how often are you implementing that or are you going back to your old ways? Right. So to me, it's like, it's still just a tool. So it's still up to the person to do their work. And that's why I feel like some people might not need the therapist because they are doing their own work.
I think
some people are very introspective.
I think a good therapist will give you a good system to develop like your issues that you have and to look at it from a continuum of like, this is my biggest pain point is say my relationship with my wife, right? Then from there, it's figuring out, okay, what are the main issues that you have from arguing with your wife? What does that look like? And then from that action plan, they can, like what Joe said, like they should take you through step by step to be able to change your behavior at the end of the day that's causing you all these pain points. But some therapists are just like, yeah, your wife is kind of a bitch. Like
that's where it gets a little interesting.
But in reality, a therapist probably should be a little bit more like asking more leading questions to get more context
to guide you to the answer.
Because a lot of times it's like, if you really want to know what someone's going through and you really want to help change their life, the amount of questions you have to ask them, it's like you need like 3-4 sessions of just asking them questions to be like, is this motherfucker bullshitting me a lot? And how consistent is this guy's story? And you know, like that takes a lot of time, right? But then some people don't do that and they just go, oh, and they accept everything the patient is telling them as face value, right? And that's probably a fallacy where you probably can't be doing that, where it's like, and as a therapist, you want to keep this guy coming back, right? Because it's a service you're providing and you don't get paid until he comes back, right? So it's like, you might be unknowingly, whether you have the best intentions or not, trying to get this guy to keep coming back to you.
It's like if a dude's problem was that he was delusional and he goes to the therapist and the therapist never says that they're delusional.
Sometimes there's no guarantee that will be said. So it really comes down to the quality of...
Dang, I wonder how you qualify as one, huh? Like, how do these people get hired?
Well, they do have like a protocol that they should kind of follow depending on the type of therapy that they have.
People don't know the difference enough. So it's like fitness. I see it very similar to fitness where there's no real governing board there is, but it's not very strict. Like to work in a hospital, you can't be a quack, right? Like there's certain ways that the hospital protects
the standardized
the people that go there. Like all doctors have a certain level of like
certification.
Yeah, exactly, that they have to pass. And then like, so if you get shot up, you go to an emergency room, you know that there's a level of understanding that all the doctors have for surgery. And they can perform that, and they've been, vetted.
Yeah, and
but there's no vetting process in the same way for therapy and counseling. there's a lot of routes to get there. There's also a lot of different ways of being credited. You can be a marriage family therapist. You can have a master's of social work and become a counselor. You can be a psychiatrist, which is someone who has a medical degree and they can also prescribe you medicine. And they typically, their style of therapy would be medicine plus like some type of behavioral like homework, right? Yeah. But then you also have the quacks that have their own like circle of how they credit themselves. But to me, that's as crazy as some of these private technical institutions that aren't credited. You get like, you go to DeVry, you go to Phoenix Institute, you get these degrees that just doesn't work anywhere else, right? Yeah. So, but people don't know the difference. I actually, have a bachelor's in psychology, so I know the difference. Unless you sit down and fucking like study what the differences are, you're gonna see plaques on the wall and think this person's legit. And that's where it fucks the layman up. You walk into the office and you see all these like things that look legit, not knowing that it's all fraudulent or it's all fucked up. That's what's hard. And even if you go to like regular universities and you get the credit, you don't know if this person actually knows what they're doing or how much are they just dicking around. Like I went to couples therapy, and by the third session I was like, this bitch is not even doing her homework. She's so dumb. Yeah. Like literally prints out some shit she got on Google, a checklist of things to ask. And I was like, how the fuck am I paying this person when I can run circles on them? And I just have a bachelor's. This person has a master's.
But Joe, we need to work on that. Okay, you don't know everything.
Yeah, you're being egotistical, dude.
I feel like I'm a little biased too because I had to go to it when I was having teen problems. I got sent to a therapist. I did like 15 sessions with this guy and it was totally useless. And all we did was play games. And I got really good at Othello, and that's it.
That's what I'm saying.
So was that within the same situation? Were they trying to build rapport with you? Is that the reason why?
Yeah, it was like, it's because I was such a like rebellious like little shithead, and then some of my parents like, they like found this guy, and he would sit there, and then that was just his thing. He'd be like, all right, we'll just play chess today, and then we would sit there and play chess. And then at the end, he'd be like, did you learn anything? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I already know how to play chess.
I went to anger management class in high school with my mom because I got in so much trouble. So like that was like one of the conditions to stay after school. And the counselor really did try to help. So like it was like every Thursday night, I'd be with my mom. And then she would like ask questions about how like the week went or whatever. And this one time something happened where my mom like hits me in the middle, and she's like, that's where the anger management comes from.
He calls it.
And then my mom's like, we're not coming here again.
Dude, honestly, that's why I really, in my experience of like being shitty and having people try to help me, the people who made the biggest difference were the people that weren't being paid. Mm-hmm. Like school counselors, like regular ass people that were like I used to go to a tutoring place called Sylvan Learning Center. It was in the mall. It's like a Kumon for white people. Yeah. And I used to go, and the dude that was trying to teach me math was way more developmentally nice to me than like therapists. Like he just figured me out.
You know why? Because he works with kids all the time. He's teaching kids how to he's teaching them how to do stuff constantly.
It's like I feel like if I apprenticed at a paint shop, that guy would connect with me better than a therapist. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because some therapists, they think they're too fucking smart and they think they're too cool for school and they know it all. And like I think, like I have a couple of buddies who had a therapist like that, and the therapist would just go in and just preach to them for an hour.
That's not even real therapy.
That's not therapy. Right?
I don't even know what school of psychology that method is.
They're just lecturing them.
Yeah, going back to what we were talking about, like if your therapist is taking up most of the time talking about themselves, not even about other shit, just themselves and like their family, that's a red flag.
I learned so much about the therapist I had because he told me about how he used to be a pastor. Like, fuck, I'm like, am I your therapist?
Yeah. He was like, it was actually a really hard time. Hey, thanks for listening.
So good to have someone to talk to about this.
Holy shit, that'd be $300 though.
But that's the hard part, right? Is if you don't know what to look for, you'll go in thinking that this person can guide you with your issues. But you might walk in and they just might want to gossip with you the whole time. And you end up angrier than you walked in before because they just wanted to, like, be mad at your girlfriend with you.
Most
Right,
therapists, or quite a few, need therapists themselves.
I wish they could just like be more specific about what kind they are. They could be like, "Oh, I'm an egg-on therapist. Like, you come in and we'll talk shit together."
You want to talk some shit? Come to my session. You want to hate on this motherfucker? Let's go.
That might be more valuable though.
A hate-ass therapist.
You need a hype man? I'll be your hype man.
That'd be cool to have like someone to just vent to too. But I feel like that's good therapy too. Like you just someone that's just listening.
You remember Gangster Hotline? You want to talk some shit? You try to talk some
That's
shit?
the exact thing I was thinking of.
Yeah, I wish there was a way to, like,
Suck my dick.
But I do think that there's, like, Yelp pages now for therapists.
Yeah.
So, like, people leave whatever.
Right.
But I also know that sometimes if you want a lot of clients, you just kind of gas up the people that are coming in. Right. And there's like, because there's money involved, right? So if you want to be a shady motherfucker, you just keep them coming back because they feel good being around you, not necessarily help them. Because sometimes the tough love part is where that's what actually helps. It's like people do the thing that they don't want to do, right? It's almost like you got your Planet Fitnesses out there where you're enabling bad behavior and you give them fucking pizza parties. And then you have the barbell brigades where you're like hardcore gyms. So I'm like, I think that's the same thing that I see in certain, but I don't know. I think quacks are the best. I like them the best.
You know what'd be cool if your therapist, the first day they meet you, they're like, all right, my goal is to never see you again. Then it's like, oh, that's
kind of the game.
Because then you want
That
them
should
to
be the
like
game.
get better and get out of here.
Or just dismiss them. Don't come back. Fuck you. You're uncurable.
You just leave.
That's true.
You guys ran into any quacks before?
In my when I lived in Hollywood, there was the biggest fucking house in the hill. Only 2 people lived in it. It's a gigantic house. They're both therapists. And then I was like, where are you guys, where's your office? And they were like, oh, it's West Covina. So it's a husband and wife.
It's not far.
Yeah, it's fucking far. But they're so fucking rich. And I went on their Yelp and they both have 1 star.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like hella bad reviews.
Yeah.
What do they say? What do they say?
That's bullshit.
They just need to get into
Both the husband and wife.
They just need to hypnotize people into leaving good reviews after their session.
Oh, there's a hip hop therapy.
That's how you know it doesn't.
1-800
It doesn't even really matter. It's like I think they're just like probably one of those ones that just get insurance things.
They're very good at business, is what it is.
When you in the funnel of insurance stuff, then it's like people are
It's
coming
a word
to you
of
whether
mouth
good or bad.
thing
Yeah.
though too, because people will validate their own experience and then bring in other people. So like if we have rapport and you are so committed into this belief system of this therapist that you just met, and I know you and I have faith in you, then it's like, okay, well, if Ryan says it's cool, then it's
Plus,
working for him,
if
then
you're
I'm gonna
successful
go.
in an industry, I think that's another
That's
thing.
another
Like if you're a
caveat,
top
yeah.
dog in a thing that you have all these puppies and they just want to be like you, and that
Yes.
person's like, come to therapy, you'll be like me. It's like,
yeah,
fuck.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're gonna have minions and shit.
Influence is strong. So you're saying therapy is a Ponzi scheme, dude? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm saying the scammer in me fucking drools of being a therapist.
That's true.
Not all therapists are created equal.
I want to be a therapist.
Go, if you're gonna do it, try a bunch of them out. Yeah. Don't just go to one.